Okay, so another Saturday night rolling around, and just reflecting on what might be useful to talk about this evening. I think come back to the old standards and things that are important for laying the foundation for our practice and our development of the meditation and like a right perspective, and so mindfulness of the body. It's really so important to keep bringing our practice back into this contemplation of the body, mindfulness grounded in the body, because the nature of the mind is that it just is so it's so quick, and so that it's easy for it to be flitting off here, flitting off there, and mindfulness of the body is really helps to provide an anchor for the mind, an anchor for our perspectives and reflections and our meditation. It's pretty easy to just relying on the mind to conceive of how, well, basically, how one's going to be enlightened really quickly, and have how quick an ideal one's practice is going to be, but then the reality is where our ideas and our ideals tend to outstrip our actual ability to manifest them, to make them real, to make them tangible, so that the mindfulness of the body is sometimes we chafe at it because we'd like to be get up into the ethereal realms of refined mental states, and truth is we're usually just not there, and keep so important to keep coming back to the body. I've been away for a few days, came back last night, doing this, doing that, and then this morning during the meditation, so one is just traveling and a bit tired, but this morning puja, morning meditation, lifting up mindfulness of the body, and I was using the 32 parts, and it was a bit embarrassing to, didn't get through many parts, and all of a sudden just mind is somewhere else, or go along. Oh, okay, 32 parts. Hair of the head, hair of the body, and then and just over and over again. Where did that mindfulness and focus? Where the heck did that go? So it's. I think that's one of the things with say, like, again, the sense of the benefits of mindfulness of the body. The mind is so quick, and as Ajahn Chah says, you can't trust the mind. It's a liar and a cheat. So that it'll have already come up with a justification or a kind of a take on what is experienced, so that it can downplay the reality that in actuality they're not so mindful, not so clear, but that just being sticking with that mindfulness of the body is just such a clear reminder, because it's that tangible anchor for the development of awareness and the contemplation. That development of the, because there needs to be this balance of the mind becoming calm and steady, and the mind being able to be able to reflect and investigate, and they need to support each other, and they need to work together. What comes to mind is an image that Ajahn Chah uses for the illustrating how, say, like calm and insight work together. That they rely on each other, so that with, say, like calm, then there's as one's calming the mind and settling, the tremendous sort of potential and strength there. But then, of course, it might not be that capable of penetrating much. And whereas, say, like insight, one can have and reflection, it can have a clear insight, but it might not be able to be sustained. So these two things need to work together. And the image that Ajahn Chah used, he said, it's like a match and a candle, where it's like the candle is, but it's not lit. It's got that potential of giving light, but say it's not light, so it's a potential. So it's like the potential of the calm mind, the steady mind, and match. It's just you strike a match and you get a flash of light, and you can see pretty clearly. But then match doesn't last for very long. So it's like being able to put that match to the candle, so that there's a steady light that is then. So it's getting those that potential actualized or realized. So there's that calm and insight is similar, and then same with so that this mindfulness of the body. It's not just a calming practice, and I mean, of course it is calming, but it's also, it's really conducive to insight as well. But then, working together, so those elements of calm and insight start to be more integrated. So learning how to use these body practices. So, because there's different kinds of say the body practices, body contemplations that the Buddha gives, just postures, just trying to get a continuity of mindfulness in the various postures, sitting, walking, standing, lying down, so that there's more of a continuity of awareness. Using the body as a for the continuity of mindfulness and clear comprehension. So it's following and tracking the different movements of the body, different aspects of contact, touch, and say reaching out and drawing back in, sitting, and in the sense of the actual how do we sit, how do we get up. That mindfulness and composure and clear comprehension and a composure of the body that really is very helpful for this continuity of clarity and awareness. So that as we say when one sits down, just really paying attention, whether we're going to sit on the floor or sit on a chair. One isn't just sort of plopping oneself down and then flopping into some sort of a position. There's a carrying of the body with attention that's continued through. So there's that mindfulness of the body as one's going through its different, say, duties and chores and responsibilities, and you've got that sense of awareness being developed with continuity, and that as we that sense of the mind being more settled, there's a happiness that comes from that awareness and attention that is settled, and it has an anchor that it's comfortable with. The body, you start to really pay attention to what does the body feel like? Because certainly that's where paying attention to say, anxiety. You can feel the body tensing. Anxiety, fear, anticipation, longing. It has a physical resonance, how our body feels. When we're feeling really relaxed and comfortable, confident within ourselves, our body has a certain resonance, and so to being able to use the body as a basis for what am I actually feeling, and how do I sustain and replicate, say, the aspects of calm and clarity it's not just a mental event. It's a whole psychophysical event that one has to be able to tune into and then sustain, so that mindfulness of the body is really supportive of being able to cultivate that. The mindfulness of the 32 parts of the body. And that's the very first meditation subject that when somebody takes ordination as a novice and then preparing to be a monk or a nun, and then that first ordination at Pabbajja, that is the meditation instruction that is given. And if it wasn't, at the Buddha's time, it was certainly very, very, very early on incorporated in the how one, say, a preceptor introduces a new practitioner into the holy life, into training for living a life of practice. So that trying to give the tools for living the holy life, and that first meditation, and just using the first 5 of the 32 parts of the body: the hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, and then skin, teeth, nails, hair of the body, hair of the head. It says forward and backwards, so the one's going back and forth, reviewing, recollecting, reflecting, and having a touch point for awareness that's tangible, and to a certain extent is how do you say? You've got a certain, because sometimes I say using the sort of mindfulness of breathing, of course, is also a contemplation of the body, but just tuning into the sensation of the breath coming in, breath going out. If one isn't engaged with real clear mindfulness, it doesn't take very long for the mind to either fall asleep or drift off into proliferation somehow, because it's we need to engage the mind in some kind of mindful activity, so that this was like the northeast of Thailand. The most common meditation technique would be mindfulness of breathing, but then using Buddho, the short mantra, name of the Buddha, on the in-breath, Buddha, on the out-breath, Ho. It's having that mindfulness of the body in terms of the breath, but then also supporting it with a recollection of the Buddha, a use of a single word that keeps the mind on task, but then also helps it to not proliferate off into other things. And it's very, as one stabilizes, of course, it becomes quite settling, calming, brightening of the mind. But with the, say, 32 parts of the body, those first 5, those are those are very tangible. Those are the external elements of the body. And in our traditional chant, the contemplation of the body, from the soles of the feet up to the crown of the head, from the crown of the head down to the soles of the feet, just going through the body, recollecting hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, and then starting to go into the experience of the body. What is there? Just in one's imagination, this maybe like Ajahn Chah used to say, he said, make little piles. Okay, hair of the head, there's a pair. Little hair of the body, okay, there it is there. Nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, different organs of the body, kidneys, heart. You get these little piles going around you, and yeah, it's kind of fun. It's also it's a different perception of the body. I mean, normally we don't think of our own bodies or the bodies of others as just piles of different, and it gets. I mean, if you have to use your imagination, because in reality it get all kind of messy and not very beautiful. But and this is thinking, say like bones. Ajahn Chah, I remember Ajahn Chah saying one time, people would complain, why? Because most meditation monasteries will have say a skeleton, and some places it'll be like a replica. Like we've got one up in the Bhikkhu Commons up in the forest for the monks to look at and contemplate the skeleton. Many monasteries in Thailand, you have a real skeleton, and Wat Pah Pong had two in their main sala, one on either side of the hall, and people could contemplate. But then, of course, some people come into the hall, say, filled with, say, drawn to the monastery as a place of religious practice, and want to come in and pay respects to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And then there's this nasty skeleton hanging there. And sort of think, why do you have a skeleton in the hall? And Ajahn Chah said, wow, what are you afraid of a skeleton hanging in that glass cabinet for? I said, I mean, how did you get here? If you didn't have carry your skeleton with you, you wouldn't have been able to make it here. You carry that skeleton with you. You eat with it all the time. You sleep with it. And what's to be disgusted by seeing a skeleton outside? I mean, you've got your own. Everybody does. So that seems contemplating, because it's all of a sudden it's kind of a truth that's hitting you right in the face. But in reality, so it's peeling back a certain propensity that we have for delusion. It's sort of like, we try to prop up the illusion of either the kind of the beauty or the health or the attractive nature of the body And just because, I mean, we are, it's very human. Um, but, it's when we look at it a bit more clearly, so, it's really, it's not that wonderful. It's like it's a, one, these bodies get, I mean, one, they get sick, they get old, their bits are falling apart all the time. It's like, the day after tomorrow, I've got to go in and have bits removed. A couple of teeth, dentists have been valiantly kind of trying to save a couple of my teeth and been treating them for. Anyway, he's given up. He's just got to pull them and start on the process of doing kind of bone grafts and implants, and so end up losing a couple bits and they'll put in a bit more, and it's just this constant. I mean, this is what comes to mind is like the Buddha talking about the body. He's getting old, and so his body, it's like a cart that has been. It's been patched and it's been fixed and it's been straps put on to keep it going, and until so he's getting close to 80 years old, and it keeps going, but it's there's not much left of the original cart. This is all sort of bits and pieces and odds and ends that are thrown together to keep it going. And that is, what what a human body is like. So it's contemplating that. There's an attenuating of. One is an attenuating of fascination with the body, attenuating of kind of desire and enchantment. And there's a certain sobering of the recognizing the reality of a human body. They're subject to aging, sickness, death, and fraught with discomfort. But they're still extraordinarily useful. I mean, we all got here to listen to Dhamma talk because our bodies brought us here, so that they're one is also have to be really grateful that the body's still functioning to this degree, so that we can still be listening to the Dhamma, reflecting on Dhamma, practicing the Dhamma. This contemplation of the body and using it as a foundation for awareness and calming and settling, being able to relax into the physical presence, and there's a real grounding that takes place. It's a real anchoring of awareness when there's, say, mindfulness and a relaxed comfort within the body. And it doesn't mean that it's all pleasurable, because you can be comfortable even when something is, say, painful, or when there's some discomfort in the body, but there can be an ease that how one holds it. And the body is really good at it doesn't. That's actually one of the things that the Buddha points to. Is like we are constantly trying to avoid dukkha by changing our posture. Just because, as whatever posture we stay in, it doesn't take very long for it to be uncomfortable. Whether it's painful or whether it's just we get bored with it, and so there's that discomfort. So then we move. We need to do something else, and so that truth of dukkha is hidden by changing the postures, and of course that's certainly on the physical level, but it's also on the mental level. We're constantly trying to move to get away from what we're either tired of, or that is uncomfortable for us, or is kind of that we're confused by. So then we try to move away, and then so that dukkha is hidden. It's not really investigated. So that learning how to be comfortable in the body, reflect on the body, have a continuity of awareness and attention within the body, so that we can see and understand, penetrate, relinquish the, inclination and attachment to dukkha that we have. And so that it helps us to see more clearly that using the body, also contemplate part of the body, and contemplation of the parts of the body is also contemplating on the nature of elements, the solid element, earth element, fire element, water element, air element, space element. It says element of solidity, the element of fluidity, the element of caloricity, the element of movement. So that it's in the experience of the body and the different, and it's not as and all the elements are anything is it's just like any experience that we have, whether it's physical or however, it's just there's an expression of those elements. And so that starting to reflect on our experience from the lens of, well, what are they? It's just an element. And so the suttas where the Buddha gives instruction on the contemplation of elements. So one that's very striking is the Buddha giving advice to his son Rahula. He's teaching his own son on how to meditate, how to contemplate, how to free the mind from the attachment to self. So this body, along with the feelings, perceptions, mental formations, consciousness, we keep assuming a sense of this is me, this is mine, this is myself. And so that contemplating the elements, we can't, these are elements of nature, and whether it's external, outside of ourselves, or internal, as an expression of the different parts of the body. I mean, some are more tangible and more sort of solid, more associated with the earth element. Some are more liquid and fluid. So with the water element, of course, there's heat or cold, but these are all elements, and so whether it's say external earth element or whether internal earth element or water element, whatever, they are just elements. And being just elements, it's impossible to conceive or buy into the assumption of this is me, this is mine, this is myself. So it's contemplating the body from that perspective, so that it's not giving a value judgment on it of this is some kind of, it's either saying beautiful or disgusting. It's just a body. Like there's in the Satipatthana, Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the Buddha gives an example of the in the contemplation of the body, parts of the body, as if it were, say, a bag with different kinds of grains, whether it's red rice or hill rice or paddy rice or sticky rice or bean, like there's red beans, green beans, mung beans. They're just beans. So it's you don't get kind of either excited or depressed about beans or rice. It's just what they are. And same with the body. Just looking at this, it's not just being able to approach it with that quality of dispassion and disenchantment. One isn't entangled in it. It's just this way. It's just what's that? It's just like this. And the Lompa Sumedho's refrain, and that's being able to look at the body. And again, it's because it's tangible. One can have that. It's really conducive to insight. And of course, that's a theme that runs through the Thai forest tradition. That contemplation of the body. It's something that is the great teachers have emphasized over and over and over again, because it's just very practical. It's very useful, fruitful for the arising of insight and being grounded in the Dhamma, being grounded in our present moment experience. So those are some reflections I'll offer for contemplation this evening.